Good morning, amigos. Dr. Doug here at BodyTrust.com in Los Angeles, California. Found an interesting article, Science Daily. Now, Science Daily is an American news site for all kinds of things, science and medical. It's written by Americans, and so it's always going to give you the American point of view. Here's a study, but it will print studies from other countries and other cultures. Here's a study from Singapore. It's from the Society for the Study of Ingestive Behavior. I don't know what that means. But perception of lower socioeconomic standing stimulates appetite. And of course, appetite is the desire for food. It's up here. It's not down here. Down here is hunger. That's an empty feeling in the stomach area. Appetite is I want to eat, right? Lower socioeconomic standing stimulates appetite. They did a whole study on people where they convinced them that they were lower economic standing. And by golly, they wanted to eat. No wonder. And then the reporter confuses this with the standard dogma in the United States. He says, these findings add a new dimension to previous findings, suggesting that the increased risk for obesity among people who are poorer and socioeconomically disadvantaged is due primarily to economic barriers that prevent access to healthier foods and other unhealthy behaviors associated with poverty. So, Americans believe that obesity and overweight, which affects at least 80% of Americans, maybe more, is due to two things. Number one, they don't have access to correct food. Healthy, correct food. They don't have access to it. And two, they're not educated enough to know the difference between correct food and incorrect food. And so this study contradicts that. You see, it's not about eating specific foods or not eating specific foods. It's about being poor and miserable and using food and fat to feel better. And that's exactly what's going on. The obesity epidemic began in the United States. It spread all kinds of places in the world, but it began in the United States in the late 70s. That's when wages stagnated while prices kept rising because the rate of profit globally for investors started dropping. And this is when the depression started, the economic depression. And the gap has just kept growing. And the obesity numbers just keep rising, up and up and up and up. Let's keep in mind, when you eat food, it stimulates dopamine in the brain. That gives you that high feeling. Right? And excess fat cells secrete estrogen. Estrogen does a number of things to calm you down, to keep you calm. I've gone through this many times in previous episodes in my book, Chinese Medicine for the Modern World. It's all laid out there. So finally, scientists in another part of the world, of course, are coming around to the realization that it's about misery. Misery is what causes obesity and overweight. Let me tell you, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, my friends and I lived on beans and meat and malts and hamburgers and French fries and and pizza and all kinds of incorrect food that's supposed to make you fat. And nobody was fat. We were all lean. I mean, yeah, there's a few people that were overweight. They were the exceptions. We all ate this stuff. But we weren't miserable like people are today because they're poor and struggling. And I mean, people are struggling. So, where people are struggling economically in rich countries that have lots of food everywhere in every corner, they're going to use it. to feel better. What this means is that the obesity epidemic is not curable under this economic system. People can be helped. I know I have a system to help people back off, because your body tells you when you're going to gain weight. It says that's enough. It tells you that's enough. People just keep eating because they just keep feeling miserable. So personally, I don't eat for health. I don't eat correct food. I don't eat approved food. I don't eat for health. I eat for taste, economy, and convenience, these are natural reasons for food, for eating. So, and I'm not fat. I stop when my body says stop, and I only eat when I'm hungry. So there's no healthy food unless you're hungry. Kale is unhealthy unless you feel that empty feeling in the stomach area. So I just thought I'd share that with you on this Wacky Friday. Interesting article. I hope this thinking starts becoming the norm instead of constantly telling us what to eat. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hasta el lunes. See you next week.